Here's a question for you. What were you thinking about 5 minutes ago? Hmm? Or even 2 minutes ago? If I try and answer that myself, let me see. What was I thinking about 5 minutes ago? I was thinking about whether to take the plastic spoon that I had with my little bowl of fruit back with me to wash and keep, or as I have done, I've binned it. Hardly the most earth-shattering thought. That's the only one I can remember. Can you think of what you were thinking about just a few minutes ago? They come and go, don't they? And as soon as they've arisen and you've chewed on them for a short while and then spit it out, you can't remember what it was that you've just eaten or what you thought you've just chewed on. It's very interesting, this, because most of us take ourselves to be rational, sentient, intelligent beings, somehow in control of the ship that is our life, that is our embodied existence, and we take our thoughts to be the sort of captain of the ship, don't we? And yet the captain's got no idea what he's thought about last or thought about next. The course seems to be plotted. The engines seem to be on not necessarily full steam ahead, but it's definitely in gear and going somewhere. In the toilets, the gents' toilets, I have to point out, in the posh hotel in Copenhagen, there is etched onto the glass mirror, the full-length glass mirror, a quotation. I think it's from Seneca. Can't quite remember. Doesn't matter. No wind favours him who has no destination. I thought that was quite profound, but I still don't quite understand it. But it's a bit like we take ourselves to be guided human beings. By that I mean guided by our own sense of self, our own sense of being someone on our way, or going about our business, living our life, doing our stuff, don't we? Of course it's common to see ourselves like this, that we are in charge, but actually the boat that we're steering, the rudder's all over the place. And so try this, for example. Tell me, what is the next thought that's going to arise in your mind? See? A, you can't predict it, and B, it's not what you thought it was going to be anyway. So who's in charge here? I find this fascinating. We take ourselves to be this thinking, intelligent being, don't we? But most of it seems to be an afterthought. We wrap up the thoughts into parcels, a bit like a sausage machine. We extrude. Our thoughts are extruded. Who knows where they come from? From us, of course. That's the other part. That where they come from, you could say, is us. That's fair enough. But they're certainly not premeditated. They ooze up from some subconscious or someplace else. The meat factory, the offal factory. And what we do is we put a skin on them, and we wrap them up like sausages coming out of a sausage machine, and we call them my thoughts, don't we? My ideas, my thoughts. What am I going to do next? Me. But it's like they're preformed. wherever they come from, we're not in control of that. So here's another one you can try. Instruct your mind to stop thinking for, say, 30 seconds. That's worked, hasn't it? Oh dear. I can tell you what, in that 30 seconds, no thinking space, I can tell you one of the thoughts that involuntarily popped up when I was telling myself not to think was, where's that car going during lockdown? So not only was there a thought that I had no intention of conjuring up, but it was judgmental thought. Who knows where they come from? So we wrap up these thoughts with a skin, and we take them to be our thoughts, and that's how we consider our lives to be directed and purposeful and meaningful, whereas actually it's completely out of control. Oh dear. Of course we take this out of control me that I take myself to be as being a rational, sensible human being. But the scientists would tell us, you might have to look this up because it's a bit of a shock, that free will is an illusion for a start. This is, as I understand it, from my YouTube scavenging, foraging, definitely, certainly in this universe, free will is an illusion. Depends what you mean by free will, of course, and what you mean by illusion, but essentially we're not as free as we take ourselves to be. The other aspect of who's in control here, this thinking me or some other me, was highlighted for me in a remarkable on-camera experiment by Dr. Michael Mosley. He's a sort of television doctor here in the UK, and he had his brain scanned doing an experiment. The researchers in white coats in the lab put these electrodes on his scalp and monitored his brain activity while they presented flashcards one at a time, and he had to make a simple choice: blue or red, left or right, up or down, pink elephant, white elephant, whatever. There was no reward and there was no right or wrong answer. It wasn't about, getting a high score. Well, so the first run through, they recorded his brain patterns, and then they said, right, we're going to do the same again, but with a different set of cards. Up, down, left, right, black, white, panda, grizzly bear. Just choose. It was an either or choice of each of these flashcards. And this time, the researchers, because they'd previously monitored the activity of his brain, they looked at how his brain was behaving during his choice. And in about, if I remember correctly, in 70% of his answers, they predicted before he even chose which way he was going to choose, black or white, panda or grizzly bear. Quite remarkable. He was so physically shocked at this finding, he had to go outside and get some fresh air and sit on the stone steps in a state of troubled confusion, because he was not who he took himself to be. He's a doctor after all, proper doctor, and he was completely stunned because it was evident that somebody else or some other part of him was making these decisions behind the scenes and passing it through the curtain for him on the stage to read out. So, my friends, we may not be as in control of this show as we think. I've just remembered the lyrics to one of my songs that I wrote when I was miserable. Hint to songwriters, it's much more productive if you're miserable or just fallen out of love or just broken up. That's the best time to write songs. It's very difficult to write Katrina and the Waves type songs, Walking on Sunshine, when you're cheerful. Anyway, that's my experience. And the lyrics go, if I can conjure them up from many years ago: me and my Lord are sorting my mind out, trying to find out which way I'm going. That might still apply. Me and my Lord are rather uncertain which side of the curtain the show is on, but it goes on. The show goes on. And our show goes on day by day, hour by hour, minute by minute. We take ourselves to be this front of house person, but really somebody else is feeding us the lines. It's when you become a little familiar with the practice of meditation, or to be fair, I think mindfulness as well has the same benefit. I don't think it's necessarily a spiritual thing. I think it's a mental healthiness practice, to simply be quiet, to be mindful, sit by a river like this. Here we are by the River Wye, and observe the minds and the thoughts coming and going. And after a while, you observe that there is an observer of your thoughts. So who are you if you can observe your thoughts? When that gap opens up, therein lies true freedom, because when you then discover, or it is revealed to you, who is behind those thoughts, or to whom those thoughts are arising, that's the fascinating one. Go figure.